Okay, traders. Now, welcome to the live trading session, the CPI monthly indicator, right? So this release is it's a little bit peripheral, to be honest. Okay, this is something out of all the developed countries, right? The RBA was the only one that didn't have like a monthly CPI number. So it is something that they looked at some time ago. Um, and then they've started to sort of bring this in. It's been around for what, a year, couple of years maybe. It took a little bit of time to get respect, and it got started getting respect because the central bank started referring to it, right? And so it is a bit of a measurement. It is something they use to utilize the market. Now, let's just go through the process of trading or coming up to a live event, right? Get you into it's all about process and structure. The What I would be doing is just making sure I've got the latest news and data on my page. What you want to do is just have a quick look around the various avenues and see what's going on. Right? We know that there's a bit of a dollar sort of surge when when the Ukraine Russian sort of talks sort of started to fall apart. When they were going good, the dollar was falling. We've seen from the weekend, the German election results. It looks like things are working themselves out. Euro's back up off the floor. It's a bit of dollar weakness there as well as a bit of euro strength. And the dollar falls after soft consumer confidence numbers, right? As economic concerns drag. Now, to me, that's where, the market or is just a little bit fatigued with what's going on at the moment. Okay. But now the consumer confidence numbers, they weren't setting the place on fire, that's for sure. Right. So what does that do for us? Well, all we need is we need consistently weak numbers or consistently strong. Now the Case-Shiller numbers were a little bit better. And they are a reliable sort of house price number. So the consumer confidence numbers, well, it's going to push the Fed into like, hey guys, what do you think about this? Right? The consumer confidence is weak. I love it, right? Because it's going to push the dollar or the Fed into reacting, and the reaction's going to be, well, we're watching that. We're aware of it. We'll see what happens. But this is where you need to understand. This number here rolls into the next US big number, right? That becomes more important. So when you get a situation like this and the dollar is slowly drifting, the next number becomes even like more critical. Even if it's second tier numbers, we get weaker US numbers next, then it's starting to paint a picture of, you know what, those numbers we've seen the last month or two, they were strong, excuse me, but now we're starting to see some weakness. And excuse me, that could lead us into an easy trade on the dollar. And if not the dollar, right, all the other pairs that are quoted against it. So this is where your technical analysis comes into play. So you can sort of see, okay, the dollar drifting lower. Euro, as I said, has steadied, a little bit of dollar weakness there, as well as, some stability in the German sort of election stuff. You saw that gap on Monday. Sterling, well, it's hanging in there, right? And I purposely haven't sort of done my chart just so I could sort of do it while I was talking to you. The What we're sort of looking for is you're just looking for shape and signs that we are starting to move. Now, are you going to see this on the hourly charts? Yeah, maybe, right? But what you can start to see here very clearly is a bit of discombobulation, right? Euro, sterling. Now, these two pairs correlate 95, 99% of the time. The Aussie and Kiwi, these two pairs correlate, say, 99% of the time. The four of them, it's about 90%. So to have the Aussie going down and Kiwi, it's sort of like it's a little bit of discombobulation. Except we know that there's a huge crunch on China. Okay, Australia and New Zealand's main trading partner, and so it's the commodity currencies and the Canadian dollar also falling as well. So we've got a few different things here in play that make sense, right? So I'm not usually if I was looking at the euro, sterling, Aussie, and Kiwi, I'd be like, well, these should be going up if they're all going up, right? But they're not. So, but we know why, right? The tariffs on China are going to impact Australia and New Zealand, and this plays into our hands with the today's numbers, right? We've got nice shape here on the dollar. I mean squeeze, that short squeeze in dollar yen the other day, like to this level here, was absolutely epic, right? It's oh my God. And okay, so dollar CAD, I mean, dollar CAD, as you know, oil, US numbers, CAD numbers, it gets pulled and pushed all over the place. Oil sort of rallying, or sorry, falling here. So you'd think, well, actually, someone messing around with my charts, that should be sort of going the other way. The Yeah, so with oil sort of falling, it sort of fits in. You can see if you get the wrong scale there, it can really mess things up, right? So the as oil falls, right, so too does the Canadian dollar. So that's sort of working quite nicely with dollar CAD. Anyway, so what I'm looking at is right. So when you come into numbers, just get an overview of what's going on. Okay, why is the dollar moving if it is, or whatever's moving around? Okay, there's all these. If you look at the news around in general, there's all this tariff news. You get the odd Bitcoin news here and there, all the altcoins and all this sort of stuff going on. But what we're looking for now is really drilling into what the numbers are coming out. Now, this is. Okay, so the weighted CPI is the number we're looking for. This one here, right? 2.5 and the range 2.1 to 2.9. Now, that was 2.8 until a day or so ago, and they've just widened it out by zero point 0.1. What we're looking for is variance here, right? And, we've got the forecast, and then we've got the weaker side of the numbers, okay? And also the top end of the spectrum. Now, the range, I mention it all the time. It's important because if the number comes out outside the range, it means the whole market has got it wrong, and the whole market needs to factor that in. So you see maybe a more aggressive move, less retracement, and it's a trade that you can jump on and hold with a little bit more confidence because you know what? That's what's happening. But ideally, what are we looking for? Well, we're looking for a number, okay? The actual number here that actually goes with what the Aussie dollar is doing, right? So if I just have a look here on my charts, right? Okay, so just blowing up the Aussie here. Okay, it's lackluster, right? So it got a little surge. They cut rates, and then we had the RBA came out and said, you know what, we're not cutting rates anymore. We're going to see some more stuff, all this sort of stuff. The tariffs are leaning on Australia already, the Chinese tariffs, okay? It's going to put a big dent in things. The impact of that probably won't be around, like prevalent for probably a month, probably a couple of months, right? And then it can be too late. It is starting to fall, even with the euro and sterling rallying, right? Now, I won't sort of tell you just at the moment, but you can sort of see, to me, it looks set to go down here, right, on the short-term charts. If I come over here on the long-term charts, all right, and let's blow this up. Okay, it's had some pressure, weathered the storm, they've raised rates, yeah, but it's still below the bull-bear pivot line, right? So in my objective view, this thing is still going down. The trend is still down, right? And this thing is it's turned down, right? So it's going down. To me, it's bearish long-term, even with that trend line. I'm putting that trend line in there just to sort of gauge where it's been and what's happening. Right? If I move the trend line to there, all of a sudden you get really bearish, right? Because you're like, wow, there's trend resistance and it's there. And that is actually true, but you can deceive yourself if you start drawing trend lines to the top level here, like the top of the last move. But you know what? This is what three days back down below that level. You can probably realistically put that trend line there, and it does paint a better picture of the overall bearishness. Now, if I come back to the Aussie here on the hourlies, right? It's moving down. It's below the bull bear pivot line, and it's going up still, right? So out of that sort of setup, what can you see? Okay, can you see anything in particular? Don't be afraid. What do you see here? I actually sort of covered this. I think it was yesterday or last night. What's that, Gav?
Yeah, you covered that yesterday.
Okay,
Please.
so what we're seeing is a short squeeze, right? This is a really good setup, and that's why the Aussie and Kiwi are on this list because we are seeing a short squeeze here on Aussie and Kiwi and a long squeeze on dollar cat, right? So what am I talking about? It's where, right, the short-term trend is down, the long-term trend is down, long-term momentum is down, but it's going up, right? It's going up against like the short-term momentum is going up here at the moment. Okay, so you're like, and look where it is. It's almost ready to turn. The This is an absolute no-brainer, right? And when I say no-brainer, the trading opportunity, because you've got a situation here where the Aussie is at a turning point. It's already sort of going down, short term and long term, and we have a number coming out. This is one of those numbers where you just go, okay, please, the trading gods, just give us a weak number here. It is already going down. Even if this number comes out as expected, I would expect it to go down, right? But just naturally flow down. If we got a number below the 2.1, right, the bottom end of the spectrum here, well, it's game on, right? You want to be getting short and you want to be holding the position, okay? But as I said, a number here, just as expected, it's already going to do that. It will already turn when it's ready and then start going down. So realistically, a weaker number like 2.4 is good, right? Less than or equal to 2.4 is awesome. A number below 2.1, which is a massive stretch. I understand that, but that would be like just an easy trade, right? And so if now you can sort of start to piece it together, you're like, okay, wow, that looks pretty good. And then you look at the opportunity overall, and then you come through and say, well, what else is going on in the market at the moment? So, say for instance, this is what you need to do because the Aussie number could come out as expected, right? And I'm telling you, this time around, even if it does come out as expected, it will slowly roll over, and we've got a good bearish trade in play. If it's a stronger number than 2.5, yeah, it's probably going to go up for a little bit longer. Okay. It's not going to sort of really break the bank, but it takes off the bit of pressure off the RBA. Below 2.4, below 2.3, definitely below 2.1, the RBA is going to have their hands full. And the journalists, you can be sure as hell, they'll have their microphones in their faces. When are you going to cut? That's all they'll be thinking. So we've got pretty good setups here on a bunch of these different pairs. Now, the short squeeze and long squeeze, just to give you a bit of a rundown, it is where the direction, short-term direction, long-term direction is the same, and the long-term momentum. The one thing that is out of whack is the short-term momentum, right? That is a squeeze. That, like, if you have these arrows lined up, you can look at it and go, geez, that one's short squeezing. And what I mean by that is the market is all short because it's going down. But sometimes when everyone's short, there's only one way it can go, and that's up, right? But when it finishes, that's when it ricochets, right? That's when it ricochets back down. And if you're not sure of how effective this can be, let me just I'll just pedal the wheels under my desk, get the internet working again. The little bit of humor for the session. Gav, I thought you'd like that. The If I can just get that chart up now, I'm sorry for making a joke. The systems won't come up. Okay, so this is exactly what was happening here on dollar yen a couple of days ago, right? It was just squeezing to the top side. Now, yeah, sure, it did get above the bull bear pivot line. We did have the top of the cloud here to work with as well. That trend line didn't come into play until it topped out, so I don't think that was already there. But what we were seeing, like dollar yen is already going down long term and momentum down. All we had here was a situation where, you know what, overall dollar yen is going down. This squeeze went longer than most people thought, right? If you're looking to get short back towards here, well, you can get
That's,
caught up here.
that's exactly where I put it on, thinking it would come back through.
Yeah, and that's, you know what, and this is the painful part of trading because this is just unlucky, right? This thing tops out at sort of 150.25, and you're almost what 200 points lower. That is pain, right? So just what we need to do here in this situation, instead of I don't know what strategy you use there, Gav, but if you see a squeeze, right, we do not, you've got to use the trade mode if you are using Primetime Pro, right? If you use auto trade, well, it won't execute if it's above the bull bear pivot line. But if it gets to, and yeah, well, the trade mode will just get the absolute peak where momentum really tops out. So, and that's sort of lining up here. You're probably getting set there. And I was looking at this yesterday, and it was only like, even after 3 hours, 3 or 4 hours, 5 hours, it was like 20 points in the cash. But you've done the hard work, you got into the trade, now you just let it go. That is what, so that move there, right, up to here was a short squeeze. Dollar yen's going down for all money. The whole market is absolutely short, and that's what happens. And it happens on dollar yen all the time. It is the best trending instrument you'll find out of all the currencies. You know, when it goes to sleep, it can go to sleep for like 2 or 3 years. But when it wakes up, it is on. And all you have to sort of be mindful of, right? And you see all these opportunities here, right? Where you're sort of getting short on all these runs. And if you just go, if you're not consistent, you only get one and you get taken out, well, that's going to be really disappointing. All right. So back to the Aussie, right? Now let's just have a look here at the setups, right? So I've sort of covered this is pretty like basic fundamental stuff. Well, it should be for you guys, right? You've got the minimum maximum range, 2.1 to 2.9. We've already sort of covered that. The forecast. We've already had a look technically. To me, the Aussie dollar has got an ideal setup. Aussie yen, okay, looking to get short that. If anything, I've actually this is blank, and I was like, what would I trade here if I had to? And this is not probably the way to look at it, but if I was looking for a strong Aussie, I've got Aussie CAD here short term, okay, and that's because dollar CAD is squeezing to the top side, okay. And if I look at Aussie CAD here on the short term, it is moving higher. It is just about ready to spill its guts, okay, spill its beans, like cough up that rally and then sort of start to move lower like a big fur ball. Not that I've got a cat, but that's what I've seen. You're looking here as well. There's a little bull bear pivot line. If anything, if you were looking for a strong Aussie number, this one's looking like it could just stretch another sort of 50 or 60 points, and that's it. So when I sort of put on here, Aussie CAD short term, it means, yeah, you're just getting in for a short term fix. Now, I don't generally go for short term fixes. I mean, I go for short term trades, but not one that's just, okay, I'm looking to make 20 points. I'm looking to place a trade to make, somewhere up towards 60 or 70. If the trade doesn't have the structure, then I won't do it. But that, if you're a little bit desperate and dateless, then you could be looking at that. Same time here, right? There's actually a bunch of instruments here that you could be trading, like Euro Aussie and Sterling Aussie, both going up, right? Unfortunately, on the short term stuff, they are going down. But that'll change if the number comes out weaker, right? And if I just come back over here to these charts, you can see Euro Aussie and Sterling Aussie are already above there, and they're both going up. So long term, Euro Aussie and Sterling Aussie, really good trades. So it's just the short term picture, which is a little bit out of whack. And once again, a fundamental data release, if this comes out weak, should give this a nice little change of momentum, and you'll see it come into play. There's no real levels on the top side here, right? So they would just go up. Is that a little bit looser? It is, but you've got the long-term trends working with you there. And actually, you know what? The same for Aussie Swiss. It's going down short term. If we look long term, I mean, Aussie's this weak against everything, generally speaking. So you can be looking for Aussie Swiss to the downside. Basically, you could pick any of them. What I've sort of come back to look at is, okay, bearing in mind that the Aussie is currently experiencing a short squeeze. So it's primed for a move down. In actual fact, even if it goes up a bit more, I'll be looking to get short on the next rally, right? But Aussie yen, well, the dollar yen's going down. So Aussie yen just joins the party. It's already going down as well. But we just need a number. Now I've got here, this is the extreme number, less than 2.1. That is the the overriding number. But you know what? 2.3, 2.4, 2.2, any of those numbers would be good for a nice, easy trade to the downside. All right.
The
So,
Aussie US has just gone through the 80% line on prime time as well.
oh,
So it's
okay. Yeah.
ready to turn. If the news is good, would be,
Oh,
well, if the
100%.
news is as expected, it should turn.
Yeah, totally. And this is the thing too, Gav. Even if that number comes out at say 2.6, it's got to get through the bull bear pivot line. It's got to get through resistance here. There's more resistance at the top. This is actually going down. So this might be a situation, even if this indicator is just slightly stronger, you could be looking to place, get short here on the move up and look for it to go back down. The weaker
Mm.
numbers, it's got to be on your radar, right? The like this, see how like Aussie's going down, and then over the course of the last half a dozen hours, it's slowly squeezing higher, right? This is where people who are short are hanging on for dear life, going, "Come on, give us the numbers. I need weak numbers, and I'm safe. I'm safe, and it's going lower." So, yeah, it's just like an easy trade. The only thing, you know, because when you prepare for this, you're like, and a lot of the trading opportunities that come out of the fundamentals, we've got the picture in front of us. We just need the number to drop, right? That's the key to it. So in this situation, do we have the number? Well, we don't know it yet, obviously. But so 2.1, 2.5 to 2.1. Now I've got a couple of things lined up here, right? So I've had just on this account, we're changing over the liquidity this after I finish here. I've got to input a whole bunch of different numbers, get all the new liquidity we've got coming. You'll be trading shares, futures, like everything. But I've had Prime Time Pro sitting here waiting for an opportunity, right, to get short on this bounce. And I will be leaving that there unless it comes out 2.7, 2.8. Now, this won't execute straight away because it's set to trade. It's only going to trade when the pivot, well, when the main line goes back down below 80. So there's no rush. I don't need to do anything with that. But trading, right? I don't need to do too much. Oh, what have I got there? Except just look for the opportunity to come out, right? So just looking to trade and place the trade in the market. Just and what you can do is even come back to a sort of customary trade plan because it's an economic number, right? You can be a bit more selective with your your trade plan because you're only trading for a specific setup. Now, whether that's 25 points or 50, it probably doesn't matter at this point. Let me just change my all bear price line. Can't really see what's going on. Okay. Now, so let me just get this up because basically the trading opportunity to me, there's two parts to it. One is because the Aussie is already above here, if it goes down, well, Primetime Pro will trigger when it breaks back down. I'm happy to let that happen, but I can expedite the process and get another part of the trade on using just selling at market, right? Now, if you've got MT5, let me just get rid of a few of these pages. If you've got MT5, well, then you can definitely, there we go. I was going to say you could use T-Rex, right? But this is the same as using T-Rex. I'm just going to place order. All I'm looking to do is sell, right? So make sure if you are trading with C Trader and you're not familiar, just have whatever side's highlighted. I'm only looking for a sell order, right? That's all I'm doing. Now, any other questions as we go forward here, guys? Like it's a good time just to thrash anything out. The fact is, if it's strong, if it's outside the variance, strong or weak, everything will move a bit. What we're targeting, just so you're clear, are the ones that are really well technically set up. Okay, so Aussie definitely, Aussie yen, Euro sterling. I mean Euro Aussie sterling Aussie Swiss. Like there's a whole smorgasbord of Aussie instruments here, all trending down. Well, all trending with an Aussie bearish tone. So Euro Aussie up, sterling Aussie up, and that's where we are. So this is pretty good, right? We've got 3 minutes to go. Now I just need to work out where I can put my stuff here. So I don't really need to see the chart. All I need to see is the numbers. We've got the countdown timer. Let's get this over here. Okay. Right. So this number here, right? So anyone remember what the range was? Come on, you can do it.
2.1, 2.9.
There you go, Joshua in the house. Good on you, man. I know. It's pretty simple, right? So below 2.5, okay, I think it's an opportunity to get short. 2.4, 2.3, 2.2. Yeah, definitely get into a trade here, right? There's nothing else. There's nothing else like geopolitically whipping around the place, banging our heads against the wall, right? So, nice little squeeze and be disciplined. If the number does come out strong, right? I'm like, yeah, great. That means I'm going to get to sell at a better level. So don't think you have to rush into a trade here. Only if it's weak will we be hitting the market, right? And that's it. So what all you got to do is the last part. When you start trading, okay, and you got the numbers down over here. Actually, we'll see how quickly they come out. It's human error where you'll make mistakes trading live, right? I'm sure Joshua can testify to that. I can definitely testify to that over 35 years. So making sure I'm not looking to be clever here. I'm just looking to sell. I'll be hitting this button. If the number comes out 2.4 or below, I'll be looking to get into a trade there, right? And that's as simple as it can be. Anything to add there, Joshua?
What was that?
Oh, I was just saying, anything you want to add yourself? You like the downside? You like the top side?
No, downside for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Well, me too, man. Me too. And so this is good, right? Because if you've ticked all the boxes and dotted all the I's, we just sort of sit here and go, okay, please come out weak. Come out weak, you sucker. Now, could you go in with pending orders here? Yeah, you definitely could. But this isn't like the big CPI number, right? It's just the number. Right, let's just have a look here. We've got like 15 seconds. Now, some of you guys, when you are trading and getting into this is where your ticker starts going 100 miles an hour and you're like, oh my God. One key thing to think of is have a look where the currency is. Okay, 52, 53. That's right. See, that's right on expectations, right? So to me, this thing will drift lower, but there's no need to get short here at the moment. So what I would be doing is relying on Primetime Pro to take me out. If anything, I'd like this to squeeze just a little bit higher, right? And then all we have to do is wait for the timing of the trade. Obviously, those guys with Primetime Pro can sit back and put it into play, and it will execute when it's ready instead of sitting there for a bunch of hours. Now, has it moved? Well, it's a point lower, a couple of points. As I said, this is going down anyway. It's just a matter of when we get in. And there's no need for us to risk anything here, waiting for it to top out. We know when it's going to top out because that's when we're going to get executed, right? Using Primetime Pro. All right, so that's a good trade setup or a good run through because you can see where the opportunity was live instantly and where it is afterwards, right? So I don't know where guys got their consensus, but 2.6, I didn't see that. Any questions, guys? No? Okay, no. So Leonard and Joshua, Gav as well, and Brendan. I think I've got, I was up late last evening. We've got a really refined version of Primetime Pro, which is much faster, faster to execute, but just installation. I'll be sending you out some components. I was going to wait for another little update on another component, but I'm going to send this out to you guys so you can install it. It's easier. There's no problems with the sort of whole licensing thing, and it's going to make your life a little bit easier, right? If you're starting to get a little bit anxious right here, you could actually sell some, right? Because as I said, this is like looking like it's this little price action here where it sort of drifts a little bit lower. That can be the turn of the market, right? So what you can do if you are thinking of and you want to get in to the trade, reduce your trade size on Prime Time Pro, do half the trade size now, right? If you think this is where it's going to top out, and then leave the other half of the execution to Prime Time Pro. You got a bit of diversity. You're in the trade. Is it going to go? I don't know, but I tell you what, I feel like it is. Okay, guys. So that's it for me. I'll give you guys an update on the new version. It's more of a I'll be adding the download Primetime Pro and the Primetime Oscillator to your dashboard. Okay, so now you're going to get access to it, or I might just email it to you, but you can. It's going to be available from here on in your downloadables. Right, we provide you a license key, and you are on. All right, guys. Anyway, enough of me yapping away. Not much to do. Just see the every tick feels like it's going to disappear, but we'll find out. All right, guys. Let's see how this trade plays out. Thanks for joining me. Have a good day.
Thanks, Brad.
Thanks, Brad.
See you guys.